Hey everybody, hey design friends, this is Cindy Allen, Editor-in-Chief of Interior Design. Today I am very excited to chat with a dynamic design duo that's on everyone's radars these days. They really are. So we first took notice with a tiny project in the Bronx we're going to talk about. It was a liquid nitrogen ice cream shop. I mean, go figure. But we fell hard for that project and for them, and their name is Aesthetique. And with us today is Julien Albertini. Hi, Julien. And Alina Pimkina. Did I say your name right?
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
Oh,
Alina.
good. Fantastic. And they're designing everything from luxury residential, hospitality, graphic design, branding, you name it. Welcome, guys. So nice to see you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us.
Thank you
You
so
know,
much.
I've been talking about having you. Like, I wanted you on Instagram. I didn't realize like where you would be because I wanted you together. So it seemed like a Zoom show would be the best. So where are you? Alina, you're upstate in the Catskills?
Yeah, exactly. I'm at the Hudson Valley already, I think, more than 3 months when all of this started. We just decided to move here. And it's a totally new world. I have a lot of inspiration. It's like, I don't know, I'm joined with the nature. It's beautiful here.
That's so lovely. And Julien, where are you?
I'm on Strong Island.
Ah,
I'm on Long Island. Yeah.
Yes. I'm on Long Island too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Do you guys miss each other?
Yes. Yes. Actually, I sent her a little gift. I was in Milan in February before everything happened, and I got a bottle of Prosecco for her because she loves Prosecco.
So
she just got it
I'm
today.
a girl. Yeah, I just received it today, and I'm so excited. We will drink it. And remember, like you, Julien, thank you so much for this.
Of course.
You guys are so cute. By the way, just that I didn't get the notice about the hat because they look so good in their hats. So now I'm feeling a little left out. So, okay, all right, you guys look cool.
No, you didn't send us the headband memo.
Yeah, well, I am the headband girl. That's for sure. So listen, I want everybody to really get to know you. I know that you're hotter than hot these days, which is fantastic. We love to hear that. I know you're recently on a cover of another magazine, but you were on ours first.
You're the first one. You're the first one. Yes.
When did you fairly recently got together to join this firm? I heard like 2016. Tell me a little bit about your history of how you found each other, how you know each other, and how you started the firm.
Sure. So I used to own a design build firm. We're doing construction, design, a lot of design on the residential side, and the retail side of things. And my ex construction partner's son introduced me to Alex, which was her boyfriend at the time, but now her husband. So everything ended up working out. Alina was visiting from Moscow at the time, and it's funny. I always tell this story. She came with this booklet of this company she wants to start. The name was called Poetica. Beautiful name. And she prepared this book, and she was flipping through the pages. And I was like, wow, this is really well put together. Like just the presentation. And I remember when I was in my company at the time, everything was about presentation. It's like, how did you, down to like your proposal, even the proposals, I would put like this beautiful inspirational photo of the project, just like to get everything excited. And she exuded something that was very similar to what I was looking for. And I always believe in, and not in a negative sense, I always believe in failing quickly, meaning like you don't know how it's going to be to work with someone until you work with them. Right. So I said, let's just try it. So I said, Alina, I was like, I love your stuff. You design the world around you just like me. We're like, not polar opposites, but you have a beautiful design aesthetic, and I have an interesting design aesthetic, Brooklyn masculine, and hers is like really, 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 really cool, really detailed. And I said, if we put these two things together, I said it would create something really interesting. And I said, why don't we just try it? So funny story is I was at my friend's apartment, a townhome in the city, 80 Washington Place, and I remember just helping him out. He was getting ready for a party, and I get a call, and it's Steve Madden. And Steve Madden's like, yeah, we just purchased this company called Dolce Vita, and we want you to design the flagship retail and headquarters in Soho. And I picked up the phone. I called Alina. I was like, we have to open up a bank account.
Yeah, I love that. That's an amazing story, and it's so true. I say that all the time, even when I'm hiring people, because you kind of don't know. They could be a lot of different things, but until you work together. So it's a fantastic story. Alina, do you have any little tidbit to add to that story in your perspective?
I love to hear how Julien telling this story, because it's like inspiring me so much and warm my heart. It's like it's always good to hear. And when I first time saw Julien, it was like it was great conversation. I understood immediately that he's a great guy. He's a very like intelligent, smart, sharp, and kind person. And what's really great about Julien, he like I didn't ask him or like something like this. He just started to help, because this is like how he is. He always tried to help his friends, family, people around him. And I think in this day, it's such a rare and important things about the person. So I think when two good people meet together and starting to do something like great that they love, believe, and they live for, I think it's the result just will be wonderful.
I love that. It's so true. But first of all, Julien, when I met you at our kind of emerging giants at the round table, you have a presence and a positivity about you. And Alina, you have something that feels very spiritual and poetic in a way. But okay, well, let's see if that tends to be true. I think
it's true. It's true. I feel that. Yep.
Yeah, I see it in the work. Okay, so as an editor, one of our favorite things ever is to publish somebody that you've never published before, and to see the work and they get on your radar and you're like, oh my God, what's that? Who's that? Happens a lot for us when we're doing competitions, because we do like a best of year. That's a global competition. So we get work from all around the world, and things stop you in your track, right? Mm-hmm. But I love those tiny little jewel box of a project that actually says who you are almost in a moment. And that had to have been that project, right? Tell us about Ice Cream.
So Ice Cream, funny, it was an ex-client that we just knew, and he went to Dubai and saw this nitrogen ice cream concept, and he said, no one's doing it in the States. I want to start something. And part of our company is that with Alina having a lot of experience on the branding side, she worked at BBDO and also MTV Russia. And myself, I went to school for architecture and then left architecture school and went to school for finance. So there's like these two like business people, at least mindset, that's thinking like, we'd love to start brands. We like to help brands grow. Right. So when he came to us with the idea, we said, sure, let's start something up. He already found the location, so we didn't have any say on that. But what we did have a say on is kind of crafting what the concept was from the ground up. And that's something that we really love to do. So we said, we love the 90s, right? We love kind of like this Memphis design style. Yeah. I grew up watching Nickelodeon and obviously MTV had a lot of like Memphis design style and like the graphics and stuff.
Saved by the Bell, that kind of stuff, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And we said, based on your demographic, you not only want to capture the young demographic, but you want to capture also our demographic as well, and it would be really cool. So that's what we started to do. So we started to design, craft the name. He came up with the name. You scream, ice cream. We all scream for ice cream. Right. And then we just started to build it off of that. And I don't know. It was a fun project. But I'd say the key to the project, the real story is that I don't come from a very wealthy family. And we lived in a part of Brooklyn that was kind of impoverished at the time, and I felt that doing something really special architecturally for the people in the Bronx and the kids in the Bronx, I said that would kind of upgrade their level of architecture and expectation for design. And I thought that was very, very important for us to do.
That is, we just gave an award, an NYC by Design award, to a school in the Bronx that there's like 800 kids and the school is designed, which means that these students are actually going to understand in some way that design can affect their lives. And it was like very emotional for me, wanting to give that award. So it was kind of amazing. And I completely agree. And the fact that it was in the Bronx, we were so excited by that. So Alina, tell us a little bit about the design. I know that there was that really long, beautiful communal table, and it was everything was quirky with pink and green.
Yeah, it's very positive, full of energy, and the main idea was to create memories for the future, because memories, it's like our basis. It's a great start for the life, no matter where we are, what we're doing, who we are as a professionals in the future, like what we do in the business or whatever. We always have something in our heart to remember. Some like these small moments that maybe like we had, like, I don't know, financial troubles or whatever, but we were kids and we were so happy just to have ice cream and to have this beautiful photo and to be with the parents. And this is worth like all millions in the world. So this was the main idea, to create beautiful memories for the kids.
Did you do all the packaging and the graphics and the branding on the project too?
Yeah, we did everything, and we come up with this very interesting for illustration that we put on the walls. It's flax wood with the lighting on the back, and we come up with this. It was just an idea, something fun that you want to make photo and just remember.
Okay, so I have to know, like, what's the best nitrogen ice cream? What's the best flavor?
Cookie Monster.
Cookie Monster.
Because we had a lot of trouble with this guy. Yeah.
Wait, what was it? What did you say?
Cookie Monster.
Cookie Monster.
Well, what is it? What's in Cookie Monster, for goodness sakes?
So Cookie Monster is so there's a funny story of Cookie Monster. So he created, so what happened is so the owner of this company, he had the idea, he was really, really good, but when it comes to implementation, he like needed us by inside. So he created his own Cookie Monster, and it looked like this like deformed like Cookie Monster. His eye was like coming off, and we were just like, oh my God.
Oh no.
You know, they have like this meme that says like nailed it, and okay, it was so funny. So there's like funny joke, but it tasted really good. So it was blue ice cream with two cookies as eyes, and then they did a whipped cream for the mouth, etc. So it was really, really beautiful looking, and it tasted really, really good.
I mean, how is it successful? Because it seems like the project really put you on the map, just in terms of, you know, what my crowd would like take notice of.
Yes. I think it really showed. I think it showed our versatility.
Yeah.
Because we have so many different layers to Esthétique, where that project was designed very specific for that setting and for the demographic that we're designing for. But you know, typically we kind of look to design more like luxury projects, so things that are a little bit higher end. And then when I say luxury, I don't mean luxury as far as pricing, because we always believe, and Alina always talk about it, we say that luxury is an experience, not a price.
Yeah.
And so we like to design things that are high in that luxurious experience. And so pretty much we took that and bottled it up in something that's fun, playful, and a beautiful package, and threw it in the Bronx, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I see it over and over again. Sometimes it's that tiny little, you know, project. Sometimes as an architect, it's like their parents' home, right? That they get to like design, you know, that's the one that kind of sets the course. So I really love that story. So, okay, but I have a funny story to tell you about the next project that we published, which ended up being on the cover, which is Cafe, is it Paulette? Alina, is it called?
Café Paulette.
Paulette, Russian for flights.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, the project is a stunner. We're going to talk about it. But you know, when I select a cover, well, actually, when I select a project, I don't even look at, I have no idea who designed it, because I'm, you know, getting work. So I'm getting piles and piles of work, and I look at things that are really interesting, and certain things are like, oh my God, we have to publish it. It goes into this pile, and we're working on the project. And when it finally gets written is when I see it's you guys, because I didn't connect, you know, I was excited that it was a project in Russia, right? I was really excited by that. And so then when I'm also selecting the cover, I don't think about the who, I think about it as an object for the cover. And when I finally realized it was you again, I was like, oh my God, this is so fantastic. And I remember Annie Block, my editor, executive editor, and she was like so excited. I was like, look, Annie, look who's going to be on the cover. Anyway, congratulations, you guys. And people, I've gotten so many comments about it, but let's talk about this idea of this project, where it was like kind of space travel, aeronautics, Russian constructivism.
Yes, Alina?
yeah, we were like, you know, really, really lucky to get this project with this super creative and open-minded clients. Because when you work in hospitality, it's very important who is in your team. So
Yeah.
you should be on the same page with the client, because in the end of the day, it's a business. So, and they need to run it in the future. And we were really lucky that the guys was like, you know, just guys, we believe in you. We know that you can bring something new and cool in the market. And we have like this interesting idea about the futuristic space. So just be creative, show us to us. And it's so rare in the business in this in the day like this. So, and I think we were very creative. So we really had fun and enjoy and put together a lot of historical materials and a lot of like interesting element that reflect this period in architecture and just period of time. Yeah, it's very, very interesting and complicated project. It's a lot of layers, but I think we achieved the main idea, that everyone who came to this restaurant, he always have a different feelings. You know, you cannot just came once to sit on this table and experience have the same like experience, the same feelings. It's so many interesting spaces, the different lighting, so you always find something new for yourself. It's never boring. So, and I think it's great about this project.
I do believe that this project really captures your style, and I'm sure your every project is a little different. That's for sure. But it's not easy to take something where you want to bring in something very strong historically, but then make it look towards the future. That's a hard thing to do, and you really did such a beautiful job of it. Let's talk about, Julien, tell me a little bit about that back wall and some of your favorite pieces in the restaurant.
So actually, I would say my favorite space in the restaurant is the private dining room. And the reason why is you have this really, really interesting floor. Well, first off, I'll say it's like, and just to add on to what Alina said, it's like every space is different, and every space had their own touch. And it kind of walked you through aeronautics and different stages,
Right.
and through the world of constructivism, through the world of brutalistic architecture. It's like,
Right.
there's so many great things. So when we go into this private dining room, it's like really, really dark room, and we use direct lighting. But then we put like a lot of quotes all over the wall, which are
All
like
the quotes, yeah.
quotes. But the floor had a little sparkle to it because we had these inlays that were on the floor that signified
little stars, yeah.
Exactly. And we designed these custom chairs that look like super futuristic, something that you would see kind of like on set. Yeah, exactly. And then they like hug you, and so it's like that room is just a very magical room, because it's a room that, you know, when we were designing it, it's a room that we felt that would like really feel like something that you would see on like a movie, or on set somewhere. And we said, you know, that's what a hospitality experience should be like. It should be theatrical. It should be super fun. It should be super playful. And yes, if you're not sitting in the same location, you should have a different experience, because then it keeps you wanting to come back for more, because you want a new experience. It's kind of like that play, Sleep No More, right?
Yeah, love Sleep No More. We went in and got access and did a big story on that when it opened a million years ago. I do love how the work is sophisticated, but like you said, you don't take yourself too seriously. So they're like playful moments. Like there was another wall with white scribbling on it, the fact that you even had rockets around, but done in the right way. Yeah. And of course, my favorite is the wall that made the cover, and the fact that it's just MDF, right, with plaster, Alina, something like that.
Yeah, it's a plaster on the top, but we had it was very long process. So the graphic that we created on the wall, it's custom made graphic in our studio. So it was I think for a couple of months we just play with the textures, how it should be, and create like this small model where everyone can see. And it was so interesting, just how to step by step create this like monumental giant art object, because I consider it more like an art object in the space.
Definitely.
Even you cannot like move it or around or take it with you, but it's still art object.
Yeah, I could see that, or developing that into something that goes into other projects differently though, but
Mhm.
it's really, really special. Okay, I have to know, okay, did you guys like get into a fight at all during the project?
No.
You never fight?
Listen, naturally we have disagreements, but I think I always say disagreements are very healthy in
Yeah.
any business, because disagreements allows people to build on ideas. Like we had a really interesting project. What was it, Alina? Was it a juniper lighting?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah.
Juniper lighting. What happened is there was like we all had our own ideas about like how the space should look, and all were adding comments and so on and so forth. But the beauty in it is that, obviously everything, when it comes to the business of design, you have timelines. So when the timeline came up and we stopped, we let the dust settle after the little scrap, and we looked at the project and we were like, wow. We're like, it looks great. It looks great. And it's sometimes it's that little push at the end which allows everyone to think a little bit harder to add a lot of value to the project.
Right. So let's talk about that little push at the end. So how do you get there? Who's pushing who? Like, how does that work?
I would say we push it's all the same, because really Alina and I don't look at each other like you do this, you do this. It's
Mhm.
really really do the same. So on one project I may start with the architecture of the space. So I'll build out the
Ah,
whole how the space will kind of feel. And then she'll jump in and do the details. And then sometimes it's the flip side where she'll build out the architecture of the space and then I'll start to fill in the details. So it's really just we're super collaborative throughout all of our partners, all of our employees. So from our drafter to our designer and to me and Alina, we're all touching the project, all adding value to it, because we believe that our team should always touch every single part of the
yeah.
project as much
Yeah,
as.
that's good. I mean, I just wanted like a little, just like a little dirt, but we'll see if we get there some.
No, no, no. Honestly, is there, Alina? Is there any dirt?
Not
Uh,
dirt, but just like even with a client where you got them to do something that you like that ended up being really special. I mean, let's talk about Jupiter lighting. I love the upside down cones with the stuff hanging out of it. Like, give me something that got you somewhere.
Hmm.
So it's, by the way, no more cons. So we like a little bit changed the design, but it will still look it's even more beautiful.
Oh,
So
no cones. Uh-huh. Well, there you
yeah,
go.
but
So how come no cones? They didn't want the cones?
they wanted the cons, they really love it. They like super creative and very open-minded, but and I think I understand it really makes sense to create something based on their lighting, because all of this space, it's about them. It's not about us and how creative and cool our design. It's the first thing how we understand them and the product they created. So we still have cons, but it will be
Okay.
just a little
That's
bit
fair.
different.
That's fair. I mean, it's just, it for me, what's interesting and is when I'm just kind of teasing with you guys, but it's like a really good partnership is really precious. I see the best partnerships become amazing designers, like with big futures. And I'm always interested in that chemistry. And the chemistry obviously has to be good, but it's sort of, I'm always trying to figure out where one starts and the other takes over. And sometimes it's very clear and other times it's not clear at all. It's kind of interesting. And I did have one Hall of Famer once, the partnership where they actually did not work. They didn't really work together. You would never have known it. But that was only one in my whole career.
Mhm.
So you have such a positive way about the two of you that it's just I'd love to see like how it actually is happening.
To be honest, you know what's funny? Like the way that you said that when you met me, kind of that positivity that you feel.
Mm,
Honestly, like when Alina and I talk, obviously there's design and then there's the design business, and that's something that I brought up in the round table. Is that the design part? Alina and I love to design. We're super creative, but the
right.
design business is a tough business. I mean,
Yes.
that's hands down, it's a tough business. And because of that, there's days where you're just like, geez, this is very, very tough, and you got to continue to push through, and you got to continue to kind of fight your way up. And And you know, me being from a design build, you know, we're always picking each other up. We're always just
I
like,
love that.
it's you know, it's all right. Let's just get through this. You know, there's you know, these are great things ahead. The roads are good, and so on and so forth. And that continues to allow us to perpetuate, you know, forward. And I really think it's the positivity that is the fuel behind us.
I love that. I love that. That's the best. That's the best news ever. I mean, are you guys doing okay right now?
Yeah.
How are things going?
Yeah, things are good. I mean, you know, you know, me being, I guess, from maybe being from the finance background and a little bit of intuition here is that we're pushing to expand heavy because we see a lot of opportunity right now, especially that there's going to be a turn in the market. We have an opportunity not only to capture kind of the new hospitality market that's going to start to be, you know, start to grow in the next year and a half, because unfortunately there are going to be a lot of hospitality owners that are going to have to, you know, leave. Those places are going to have to be taken over so we could be there to design. So it's attracting those clients. And the secondary part is aesthetic residential. The residential market in many prime cities, we feel that are just built off of economic development. So no real style to it. And they're not adding a lot of kind of oomph to it. So Alina and I are kind of modeling how do we revolutionize the way that people live in prime cities, but something that's tangible, not something that's like out of this world, that's not really feasible, you can't really make it, but how do we create a beautiful designs, not just for multifamily, really we're looking at single family homes, create like a stunning concepts. And I give you a little hint.
Yeah, tell me.
If you remember Sears Homes, how you used to
Sure.
be able to open up a catalog and look through a catalog and say, I want this house and so on and so forth. So it's something, you know, hinting, it's something
I get it.
on those lines.
I get it. One of my very good friends had a big farm, and on the farm had a little Sears Roebuck home on the side,
Mhm.
and it was so special.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's still great quality. So I heard from a lot of people that Sears homes like really like well built.
Totally, totally. She loved it. She loved it. All right, so we're running out of time, but I'd love to just a little recap of some other things you're working on. So I know there's a Brooklyn restaurant.
Yep. Loretto.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that going to be more than one?
Yes, so that's going to be two locations. Loretto #1 is in Fort Greene, right next door to the Shakespeare Center. Really cool area, nice courtyard. It's like a modern Tuscan design.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. You do have a lot of you bring a lot of nature or the feeling of natural elements in the work.
It's absolutely true, because Mother Nature is truly the best designer, and we're always inspired by this. We love to create like these beautiful, airy, sexy, sophisticated spaces where you can feel calm and like to put together your energy.
Yeah, no, that's lovely. And you still are doing work in Russia. I love that, you know, New York, Russia connection. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and we still have a lot of new projects in Russia, and we're still working on a couple of very interesting restaurant, beauty gallery, like a medical clinic for the woman, specifically 2 floors, very like sophisticated, gentle but beautiful architectural project. We really love it. And yeah, we have a couple of offices. Actually, look like we have a lot of projects in Russia, Joanne.
Yeah. So that the IO project, I think, is really a stunner. We're just getting some construction photos back from our team. It's a very a little hint on that. It's a very curvaceous design.
Yeah, I see the renderings. It looks
Yes.
it looks really beautiful. And also I see you're doing some work in Portugal, and obviously health and wellness is going to be the words we're talking about for a long time to come.
Yes. This Portuguese project is also building a concept around having a space to meditate, but also having a space where you could have spa services, go into a dipping pool in the middle of the forest overlooking like beautiful trees. And, you know, it's just showcasing, again, we love to get projects that showcase the different layers of aesthetic. We could go fun, punchy, like ice cream. We could go super sophisticated, like the Portuguese villa. And we could go something that's out of this world, like Paulette.
Yeah, I also see that because you're doing a lot of custom design work, that you're also starting furniture, right? A furniture line.
Yes. So we have we're building a partnership with a very great company out in Miami. I won't say any names until it's like
You have a lot of secrets, Julien. You
signed on the dotted line. You know, it's, you know, yes. They say real gangsters move in silence. You know. So So yeah, so we're building this really interesting thing. So cruise line industry, obviously the industry has been hit because of COVID, very, very bad. So
Yeah.
we wanted to bring our design and offer it on the contract side, but also offer it on the B2C side, so to consumer. But we wanted to add some technology to it. So we found this really cool antimicrobial padding and foam, and we also found antimicrobial fabric. And so we're designing these beautiful pieces, but adding this like beautiful technology, which now the cruise line industry, the hospitality industry could all benefit from. Not only on the actual benefits from it, but also they'll benefit from on the marketing side, right? They'll show that their space is cleaner. And I love this new revolution where everyone's really trying to be clean, because it's really going to benefit all the consumers now.
Yeah, it's like there was always something taboo about talking about that, and now it's essential that we do, and it's only going to be beneficial for our future for sure. So we're talking about antimicrobial, we're talking about hygiene, we're talking about a lot of words we never had to talk about before.
Yeah.
But it's all a good thing. The one thing I think about with you guys as we sort of sum it up is that there's a background in business, there's a background in marketing, background in design, background working with others, and then finding each other. All of that, I always think of something as a road where you gather things. It feels like you gathered a lot alone, and now together are like on this explosive, beautiful journey of design.
Yes.
You're absolutely right, Cindy, and it's a beautiful word to hear about us.
Yeah,
it's true though.
we talk about design, and we say that when you really look at design, it's like you should utilize design as the ultimate tool, and then build a world around design. And if you're able to do that, again, you could design branding, you could design companies, you could design products, you could design so much things, and you could bring things to market and utilize that. Another big inspiration of ours is like Philippe Starck. He doesn't just design spaces, he designs yachts, he designs furniture, he designs products. So when you think about that, and we're saying, let's create something super interesting like Philippe Starck, but let's have our own flair, let's have our own style, let's add our own technology to it, and let's bring high level design to the masses. And listen, you've inspired us. You really, like, when we got that cover, I remember Alina and I looked at each other, we're like, what?
Well, really shocked because we didn't expect it. I think we just arrived from Miami at the airport, and I opened my Instagram and saw your post, and I thought, like, is it not what?
It's
I even didn't know what to think.
Yeah, it really was.
It was a like great surprise. Thank you so much, Cindy.
No, it was really, honestly, it was a surprise to me when I was like, oh my God, it's them. And you should take that as a big compliment, because it's never about politics or people. It's always about the work, and the work wanted to be on that cover. And I was so proud of you all, and I was tickled by it. And I was like, oh, it's only when I see somebody or, someone sends a post back about how excited they are. But I know, because I know what it is, some people will never get a cover. So congratulations to you guys. I feel uplifted by this conversation. I feel really uplifted by you guys. And certainly we need that more than ever these days. So I really want to thank you for your voice. You see it in the work, and to be able to share a little bit more of you with everybody.
Cindy, thank you so much for the platform, honestly, and thank you for the empowerment.
Oh, well, you guys are wonderful. So we have to stay in touch, and you keep doing your thing, and make sure we know about everything that's going on. Okay?
Yes.
All right. I'm sending you virtual love and hugs.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Take care. Go forth and design, you guys. All right.
Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.
You too. Okay. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. My name's Paulette Pearson, and I am the Texas Homes Editor for Luxe Interiors and Design. And today we are welcoming Meg Lonergan of Meg Lonergan Interiors in Houston. She is turning out some incredibly beautiful and inspired work, including a home we recently featured. So I'm very, very honored that she took time from her busy schedule to chat with us about it today. So Meg, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. It's really good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
How have you been doing the past couple months?
Good, good. My husband's from New Zealand, and we kind of got caught there on a vacation that turned into 2 months during the lockdown, but we're back in the States now, and homeschooling is ended for the time being. So we're kind of getting back to normal in Houston.
I did see that you'd been traveling, or well, sort of stuck in New Zealand. So I'd kind of been wondering how things were going with you guys. It's definitely been unprecedented times, but I'm so glad you're back and safe, and things seem to be going well with you.
Thank you, yeah.
Well, thanks for taking time out of your schedule to be here today. As I mentioned, we had the really great privilege of featuring one of your recent projects, and it was a beautiful, grand 1939 Georgian revival, right up my alley, kind of a home that you helped bring back to life in Houston. So we wanted to kind of revisit that project and go a little bit more in detail about just sort of the process and, you know, kind of your thought processes behind that home. So I was hoping you could maybe start by giving us a little bit of a background on how you came to the project. I believe it was an existing client, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I had worked with the clients before on another house right down the street, actually. And our children go to school together, so we're friendly through that, which is nice. And the previous project had finished years prior and wrapped up, and we were at our school field day at the end of the school year, and she just casually mentioned to me, oh, we actually have an offer in on a house, and I don't know if it's even going to work for us because their furniture was quite modern and their previous house was quite modern. And so she said, do you mind trying to swing over there and give me your thoughts on if you think we should, you know, pursue this house or what you think about it? So I ran over there the next day and took a look, and it's beautiful and amazing. However, it was quite traditional, the interiors. So there I saw her, I understood her pause for concern, just, you know, how she was trying to imagine their things in this new environment. So I spent the weekend kind of really brainstorming about it and thinking, you know, if this was my house and I had all that furniture from the previous project, how would I make it work? And I sent them some inspiration pictures, and the rest is history.
History. Well, what was it like? I know you mentioned it was really traditional, obviously very grand. It felt a little bit more ornate. You know, can you go into a little bit more detail about kind of what it looked like when you first saw it? What were your initial thoughts on how it might work or not for this family?
So we have this fabulous company here in Houston called Segredo, Leslie Sinclair with Segredo Finishes, and she does all kinds of incredible paint finishes, plaster work. And so she had done this house and her team, and the previous designer or the previous client, it was just very kind of more country French, I guess I would describe it. A lot of faux finishes, and the plaster color was quite cool. It was a white, but quite a bluish white. And so, and the moldings, there was a lot of applied moldings that were quite ornate. All of it was done so beautifully. It was just quite decorative to then try to put all this modern furniture that they already owned inside. Yeah, so that's, we kind of brainstormed on how could we use some of the same finish. You know, the finish quality was so beautiful, and make it work for their furniture and their style. And so we actually had Segredo come back and replaster and redo things for us in just a different color palette, really.
Yeah. well, what did they want? You know, I believe it was a family. Were there any kind of directives aside from trying to figure out how to make their furniture work and kind of cleaning things up? Did they kind of have any directives for kind of what did they need, number one, and then what did they kind of ask you for, sort of aesthetically and functionally?
Well, when they were deciding if they should buy the house, they knew they would need to make some alterations to it. And I said to them, you know, honestly, I can imagine your furniture working if you put a more modern kitchen in the house. If it has architecturally one modern element, the furniture will talk to that and make sense. I said, but if you're really thinking that you don't want to go down that road of a huge kitchen renovation, then maybe it isn't the right house. I said, but I do think if you redo the kitchen, we can make this amazing and work. So it started off as like, maybe a kitchen renovation, maybe not. And I mean, I think in 2 weeks, the entire place was to the studs.
So it started from a casual mention on the ball field after school to this house to then this huge gut renovation of the kitchen.
Yeah, we had, the first thing we did was contact Eggersman, and we worked with them and collaborated with them on a kitchen design and got that ordered from Germany straight away because of the lead times. And we just hit the ground running. It was really fun. Because we had worked together in the past, they were amazing and trustworthy of my ideas and really open to kind of what I was suggesting. It was the beginning of summer, so they were leaving for the summer. So anyway, we kind of did a lot of it remotely to get, you know, corresponding through email and phone. Through the summer while it was really under construction. And then they ended up moving in right before Christmas. So it was fast and furious. But they were pretty open. The homeowner really wanted a place for his music and his record collection. And he was very involved in engineering some of the construction to facilitate that, sound engineering, which was cool.
Right. For that amazing media room, which I have a whole question kind of set aside for that, because that was one of the coolest parts of this home. One of the cool things I think about, you know, there's always something sort of unique about each project we feature that is worth kind of diving into. That was, I think, the unique thing about this, that media room with his collection. And I believe you went to a lot of effort to make sure it was the sound in that space was also quality and it was insulated. So I kind of love that intersection of, you know, aesthetics and function as well in that space. But do they have kids? And was that something you thought about?
They do. At the time, they now have 2. At the time had 1. The yard is huge. There's a lot of space in the house that there's a playroom upstairs. So there were some areas actually that weren't featured in the magazine that were more children focused, you know, areas.
What was the process? I know we've talked a little about the kitchen. I know that was kind of sort of the must-have, kind of transforming that kitchen into something that felt modern and also kind of streamlining the interior architecture. In your mind as a designer, at least on this project, beyond those 2 things, like how do you begin to tackle something like this grand home? What were the steps beyond getting the kind of kitchen sorted out and beyond streamlining the architecture? What steps did you take?
I always approach a project as if it was my own. So I always pretend like, if this is my house, what would I do? In some ways, projects that already have some furniture and art that you're weaving in some ways that's easier.
Yeah.
Because you've got those items selected and they're already predetermined, so you can work around them. So there was quite a bit of furniture and a lot of art that was already existing. So it was sort of just trying, you know, we had pieces of a puzzle and just figuring out how to put them together. I was really, when I went there that very first time, I was really, you know, it had this French feel from the previous designer and previous homeowner. So I was really inspired by that. And then I started to think, like, you know, how does that work with modern furniture? And immediately was thinking of, you know, a lot of beautiful Parisian apartments that have the old parquet flooring, and they have molding, and they have, you know, grand chandeliers or plaster medallions or things like that with super minimal modern furniture. So that was really just the impetus for all of it. And once I sort of knew that that's the look I could see there, everything kind of fell into place. Their artwork inspired me a lot because with the use of color, because they came with an amazing collection of art that we were able to place and play off of.
Yeah, well, it's a good segue into my next question, which is, I'm curious what aspects of the interior architecture you decided to keep. I know that those floors, the dining room doesn't even have a rug, which is so fantastic to kind of showcase those beautiful original floors. What did you use to kind of help determine what parts of the interior architecture you would keep to kind of fit within that Parisian apartment feel? What did you keep and what did you edit away?
So the dining room was all fully paneled, and it was quite ornate. So we loved the idea of that. However, also the panels weren't conducive to fit their existing artwork. So once we started with like, let's remove a few of these ornate pieces, and then we realized, well, actually we can't even fit some of the art on some of these panels. So we ended up repaneling, and that was a fun exercise because we were able to really customize. And we worked with Kristen Schuster, who's the architect on the project, and collaborated together on how to really make that super functional for them, and give you that same feel without being too over the top.
Right.
And then we paneled another media room in the back, so there was a little bit of consistency then. The staircase was this beautiful iron handmade staircase. We decided to just remove a few pieces of it to allow it to breathe a little bit. So we did really simple things that made actually a big impact. We kept most of the iron staircase, like I said, just removed a few things. We kept the floors. We kept the fireplace mantle, stone mantle. So we really just replaced lighting. Most of the lighting was modern, which was a fun balance to sort of some of the more traditional materials like the old floors.
Right. You've touched on the art too, and that was such a striking, incredible part of the project, and something I get the feeling that influenced a lot of the spaces as well. So I'm curious, you know, how did you even begin to select? It sounds like most of the art was existing. How did you even begin to select which pieces went into each space? What is that?
Well, most of it's quite big, the art, and there was limited walls because it's an old house and a lot of windows. And so honestly, a lot of those decisions were made due to process of elimination.
Yeah.
We have these size pieces and very few walls they could go on. So it was sort of just, once we found one home for one, we kind of worked backwards. And from there, that's how then we developed the color palette. A lot of the art had striking colors. And so I really wanted to pull from those colors and complement the art without competing. So we decided that keeping the walls and the draperies all matching throughout the whole downstairs, with a couple exceptions, really kind of let the art do and the architecture do the talking.
So did the art come first or did the furnishings come first?
The art came first, and there was a few pieces of furniture they already had, and then we added to their furniture collection with similar feel to what they already had so that it was cohesive.
Well, it just turned out incredibly well. And was most of the art, I know you may have mentioned this, but did you guys bring any additional pieces of art to the project, or was it all existing? Did you need to kind of venture out and find any new artists, or was it something you were just completely working with?
They are both very passionate about art in their collection, and so we talked about lots of different artists and considered certain pieces that we didn't actually ever even proceed with, and that was part of the fun too, kind of imagining different styles and different looks. There was a a piece of photography in the back green media room by Chuck Ramirez that they didn't own at the time. She had been really wanting it. Anyway, it ended up fitting by this much on the paneled wall, and it was perfect, and she ended up getting it. And so that was kind of fun that we were able to find a great place for that, and she really was wanting that piece of photography. So,
well, you mentioned that Paris apartment look. How do you go about selecting furnishings that kind of fit that aesthetic? So much of the furnishings, in my opinion, seem artistic or even sculptural, and even the lighting did as well. So was that part of that look you were trying to go for? How did you go about in terms of scale and shape? Tell me a little bit about that part, which I found.
I truly, I spent a lot of time really thinking through the lighting and really thinking how else we could add sculptural art to the home through furniture and through lighting. You touched on how the dining room didn't have a rug.
Yeah.
And that was totally by design. I think that there's like a certain sensibility Europeans have where they're never finished perfectly or over decorated. And I think I'm really inspired by that, by, stopping at a certain point and just letting what you have be without kind of overfilling a house or overdoing it. So this was just because the interior architecture was so great in this house. It was the perfect home to be able to do that in, because the floors were so beautiful. It was truly a crime to cover them up with a big rug.
Right. Well, for anybody who's just joining, we are here with Meg Lonergan, chatting about a project of hers we featured in a recent issue of Luxe Interiors and Design. And we've been talking a lot about the home's art collection, and we've touched a little bit on that media room. And I was hoping where the husband stores his impressive collection of audio equipment and vintage vinyl. I love that he was so involved with this project. I was hoping you could talk about that space a little bit and maybe give us a little bit more details that don't jump out on the page as being maybe obvious and maybe things we didn't touch on in the story. So can you tell me about that space, about his collection, and kind of what the process was for bringing it to life and making it a reality?
It was fun. I mean, he's very into it. So he was collaborating with people in California on the speaker systems and the audio. It's very high tech and way above my knowledge, to be completely honest. But so it was fun because he had totally his own ideas of what all the different pieces he needed to incorporate into the room to get the sound he wanted. And so he would send me sketches on graph paper of, this is the size of this piece and this is the size of this piece, and we should design a custom cabinet for this. And anyway, it got to be really fun because it was collaborative. So we worked together on that. We ended up purchasing, I believe it was a Casina piece of furniture. So we, an Italian designed and made piece of furniture. That was the base cabinet. We turned the hall closet into like the record storage. So that's where he keeps all the vinyls in the hall closet.
Well, another stunning room, and I feel remiss if we didn't touch on, was the sunroom, which really has a beautiful mix of sort of hard and soft textures. And there's that teak and cane armchair, and then the polar bear style sofa. What was that space like, I guess, originally, and what was the inspiration, and how did you create such a beautiful balance?
I had remembered, I had to talk to I know the previous designer from the previous homeowner. So there were a couple things I had questions on when we were working on the project. So I called her and talked to her about it, and we're friendly and it's fun like that. But she mentioned to me, she's like, the sunroom is actually the best room in the house, the most magical space. It's little, those stone floors are so pretty. And so, but the size of it was tricky, just being narrow. And so anyway, it was a fun opportunity to do like a curved sofa or something that would kind of fill it up really well and be cozy. And so we went from there. I'll never forget, shortly after they had their second child, she was sending me pictures and they were in there with the baby in that room on that sofa. And I was like, oh no, don't let the baby spit up on that sofa. you know, but I loved it because she was like, oh, we're spending so much time in here. It's so comfortable. It's so beautiful. It's like the perfect place to hang out with my new baby. And so that really warmed my heart. But yeah, it was also a nice little reprieve because there are some bold colors. So that space really didn't have much color in it. And so it was a little, you know, it was a nice little time to take a break from some of the bolder colors.
Well, you mentioned, and so it was the music parlor, I think is what the husband's space was called. And then there was a media room, which I think you mentioned it had that the rug in that space, I think we quoted you as saying that it was one of your proudest design moments. And that's a space where there is really bold color. What did you love so much about that space in terms of the mix of colors?
I just love that they trusted me. You know, it was like so fun to be able to layer those colors together, and it turned out beautiful. And like the rug is like a rust with like actually like a pinky design in it, which is kind of hard to see in the photographs. And then the room is like this chalky green color, deep color. And so they really trusted me with that. You know, we had just, I can't quite remember what came first. I think I presented it all together, this wall and this rug. But that was I think I was so proud of it because it really, they trusted me. They said, awesome, like, let's do it. You know, they went for it. You know, usually a lot of times people are scared or nervous to be that bold. And so then you end up sacrificing either one or the other and it dilutes the look. But in this case, they trusted me in it. And it time and time again, anybody who sees this house or this project, they always tell me that's their favorite space.
This house in and of itself is a juxtaposition with the modern kind of furnishings and art, and then sort of within this sort of more traditional shell. And then within it, you have, you know, spaces like that sunroom with the mix of hard and soft. And it just seems full of juxtapositions. And that's not easy to do. So I'm wondering if you have any tips for pulling off such daring contradictions so successfully and beautifully like you did with this project.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice. And when you sent me these questions to read over before I read this, and I've been thinking about it, and I still am like, I don't know how to answer this. You know, it's like something so intuitive to me, like riding a bike. So it's sort of hard for me to, what I came back to, and I talk to clients a lot about this, is like one of the fundamental principles of design is contrast.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when people see something that's beautiful or they're in a room that feels beautiful, they don't know why, or it's not you know, there's not something completely obvious that gives them that feeling. But oftentimes those rooms have high contrast, you know, the dark thing with the light thing, or the shiny thing with the matte thing, or the big thing with the small thing. So I really always try to implement contrast when I can, because I think that that's what creates harmony and balance, and that's what makes a juxtaposition work.
Well, what is your take too on, I mean, you had such an incredible canvas to kind of work with this existing kind of structure. What is your take on working with an existing old home versus furnishing a newly built residence, which are also obviously can be absolutely stunning? But for you, what is your take kind of on working with an older historic home versus a newer home? It must be really rewarding to kind of reinvigorate an old house that has so much history and so many previous owners, and to kind of bring it back to life and for new clients. So what is your take on working with an old home versus a new home, and what was that like for you?
I loved it. I personally live in old homes, so I loved it. There's a soul and a beat to it that just, I feel like you can't ever quite capture with a new home. It brings challenges. In this particular one, we had all sorts of AC challenges, right. You know, trying to create enough circulation and airflow for a modern day family. So, you know, but it's fun. It's kind of, every project is different. And I think the renovations in the old homes are really successful when the team is cohesive.
Okay.
So we really worked so well with the architect and the builder on this project. And I think that's what really made it so enjoyable. Was that we had the right team. But I think in new homes, new homes are almost a little harder because the client actually can't visualize. You know, with an older home and the old structure, they actually can be inside of it and walk inside of it, and they really have a feel for the scale of the spaces, and it's a little bit easier in that way to convey your ideas. Whereas a new home is harder for people to understand on paper from a client perspective.
Well, if you had to pick a few kind of favorite aspects of this project, what would be some of the things that you think were most memorable from the process, and then also just in terms of what were your favorite spaces or design elements?
Oh, that's a hard one.
I
loved
didn't
the
put that in
kitchen.
the questions that I sent you.
I loved the kitchen. The kitchen to me, like I just love that pretty European kitchen that's simple without just heavy cabinetry. I mean, there's just it was just everybody, it feels like here everyone's kind of doing the same things. So to be able to get to do this beautiful European kitchen was a dream. I wish every one of my clients would do them. That to me was the most, from a design perspective, really fun and unique. What else? I really loved the plaster light in the entryway, which is sort of a Klein blue.
Okay.
That is a piece from an artist out of Belgium.
Okay.
And it wasn't particularly expensive or particularly fine. It was just, it was a little naive in its making and a little rough. And I just loved the feel of that against this ornate staircase. So to me, when they agreed to do that, I was like, yay! You know, some of these things may seem crazy to people, you know, they think, oh my gosh, what, this light of all lights, you know, and they were like, they also thought it was awesome. And it's truly a piece of art. And they saw that too. And we also commissioned the Billy Cotton stick chandelier that comes down the curve of the staircase.
Okay.
So doing all those together was really fun. Gosh, yeah, those would probably be my very favorite things.
Well, we just loved everything about it, and it was so fun to collaborate with you, and you're always so lovely to work with and responsive.
Oh, thank you, Paulette.
As well. So just keep doing what you're doing, and keep inspiring everybody else with your creativity and your talent. And more importantly, thank you for being with us today.
No, thank you for having me. And it's such an honor to be in the pages of your magazine. And when we were on the cover of that issue, I mean, it came in my 10th year of business, and it truly felt like such an exciting milestone. And so thank you for supporting me and featuring me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Meg. I'll talk to you next time.
Okay, take care. Thanks again.
Thank you.